Are we live?
Are we live? Is it Memorex? We are back in the studio, which happens to be my living room. We are three dudes in and about a record store in our mind. I am your host, Greg Horn, doing all the duties that really I don't do anything. Jay is at home once again, but
You just
I have
bring the attitude.
I do. I have his list on my phone. It created a conversation between him and I, which is not real hard to do.
Yeah.
So love that one. I love his energy that he brought with it, and I love the fact that. Well, I'll introduce you, then I'll say what I love. This guy, the fucking legend, B-Meister.
What's up, dude?
What I was saying is what I love about you two is that you refuse to allow anyone or anything to put you in a box.
Yeah.
And Jay, to his lovable nature, refused to allow convention to prevent him from doing something that I did not see coming. So today's show might be a little different. We didn't do a lot of talking before the show because I figured we'll let you in on the process of how kind of we go about this. Today's topic is kind of funny because when I brought up very, very early, I think maybe after our first show that we scrapped and didn't even get on air, I started talking about let's do supergroups.
Right.
And you were not into it.
The only reason I wasn't into it is because for some reason it just felt hard to wrap my brain around it.
So last week,
but that was from the standpoint of supergroups that already exist.
Yes.
And I just don't
last week
easily
when I
consider.
I've got sheets of paper of all these ideas, unique and stolen. And when I handed to him, the first thing he said is, "What's this Build-A-Band thing? Let's do that."
Build a band.
And his excitement made my excitement jump through the roof. So that night we talked all about it. There have to at least be 4, can't be more than 5. Hair metal, traditional metal, and a doom thrash combo or death thrash combo.
We kind of put thrash and death metal together.
And then springingly out of nowhere, we decided to throw in a prog.
Yeah.
And then he made it even harder, which I even loved more. You can't pick more than one person from the same band.
Yes, if we're plucking people from respective bands, you couldn't double up on members.
That curveball destroyed most of the stuff that I think we've all been doing this since we were 14. Like, what would it sound like if all our favorite dudes were in the same band?
Yeah.
So many criteria can be taken. Are they your favorite players? Do they work in tandem, or did you just put, Joe Satriani, Steve Vai, and Yngwie Malmsteen in the same band with a drummer and a singer? So many things that you could do.
Yeah.
So I had so much fun building this list. And then we took it to another level. Because if you're going to have a band, what do you have to have?
You got to have a killer band name.
You got to have a name. So we all named our bands respectively.
And then I took it a step further and titled each of their debut albums.
I got one record title.
What would their debut record be titled? That's probably the silliest part of it.
I love it. I love this so much. This might be a 10-hour video. We don't know. We might be here still at 8 a.m. still talking about this.
And you're totally right about how do these players work together. That was really kind of the wild card. As I'm putting them together, and I'm going, well, maybe I don't want this person in the band. Maybe I'll put this person
hard,
in.
Right?
But to really imagine how they're going to work together, that's
because you think
difficult.
About it. You can't just be like, I'm going to put George Lynch and Ace Frehley in a band. Like, would it work? They don't even play similar.
Well, I want to give you a little spoiler and say that I kind of disregarded that ultimately. I think these bands I put together
aren't going to work in any sense. It might even be better that way. They're going to have to
figure out how to work together.
Well, with us as their managers, call us. We'll figure it out. So instead of going back and forth, you make your whole thing. What we're gonna do is we're gonna read the Maniac. I'm gonna read the Maniacs 3 lists. He didn't get on the prog thing. We came up with the prog thing late, and then you and I will go.
Now I have a question.
Sure.
Most episodes, Jay's lists, like it seems like he just rips them off. Like, you give him a list and pretty quickly it's like, bam. I kind of wonder if this one bent his head a little bit.
Well, I mean, I didn't get his list until yesterday or the day before. Yeah. So he put in, I mean, he does his own. He's so much of a metal encyclopedia in his little head that I shouldn't say little head. He's going to kick my ass now. His giant head. That
we could have also done super groups of other genres.
Oh my God. Again, there has to be a volume 2 because there's so many other things that we can
pick
cover.
Other genres, but sticking within the metal realm, I mean, those are larger than life characters.
Yeah,
and
it's our love.
Makes sense.
My first love is
deep love.
Metal. I mean, we could have put a classical supergroup together, but I mean, really, it would have been the same.
Yeah, I mean, we could do like punk bands or.
I can't wait to do that
like
stuff.
that.
So I'm gonna read Jay's list off. Then B and I are gonna start each list. We'll go drummer. So I'll say my drummer, you say your drummer. Then we'll go back.
That's how we're gonna do it.
Yeah, and then we'll end with the vocalist and our band name and or album title if you have it.
Okay.
And that way we're building tension as they're trying to figure out who are you gonna add with. So we just read our list like this is the drummer, this is the guitarist, this is the bass player. And then you're like,
you're right. You're right. That's yeah.
So let's read on. If you can't figure out, we've built our own band.
So I'll see your Joe Satriani, and I'll add my Steve Vai or whatever.
Yeah. So we'll build it: drums, bass, guitar, or 2 guitars. Yeah. If you only have 1 guitar, then I'll read both my guitars. Vocalist. When we say the vocalist, then we'll give our band name.
Well, we might as well say that we both put 5 members.
Did you go 5 for every? Yeah, I went 5 every single one.
Because it seemed like.
Why wouldn't you?
Why not have 2 guitar players?
For real, right?
Yeah.
Same thing that Jay said.
If you're building a fantasy band, might as well just give them the benefit of the full firepower.
So his traditional metal band is called Gods Among Us. Lars Ulrich drums.
All right.
Steve Harris on bass. Matthias Jabs on guitar. Angus Young on guitar. Rob Halford on vocals.
Yeah. Matthias Jabs from Scorps.
From the Scorps.
Yeah.
I love that guy.
So his traditional metal band's got kind of a hard rock foundation, I'd say.
It definitely does. It definitely does. But I mean, I can't argue with that. And it probably would work.
I mean, Angus is one of the greatest rhythm guitar players of all time in a rock band. So, or no, you said I was thinking his brother
Malcolm.
So we got Angus and Matthias
plays.
Okay, that's interesting.
And Schenker trade.
Yeah,
back and forth. So
I don't know why my mind went to Malcolm.
He can fit in the cut anywhere. His hair metal band is Holy Vengeance. I fucking love the fact. So he went Tommy Lee on drums, throws a curveball. Apparently he saw an interview at Lita Ford while Slash on guitar, Phil Collen on guitar, Michael Sweet on vocals.
Whoa. All right.
Dude can still bring it. Like he's still got the chops. I mean, I don't really listen anymore.
Man, speaking of Striper, this guy came into my store yesterday. Pretty hip looking dude, and he bought 2 Striper cassette tapes, and he was
those are probably the Striper cassette tapes I gave you.
Probably, yeah, that's right.
You're welcome.
He was down for Striper.
If that's Soldiers Under Command,
it was that one and To Hell with the Devil.
Those were my tapes that I had since I was a kid.
Yeah,
you're welcome. I got them on CD, so it's all good. His thrash metal band is only 4 pieces. Torn Apart is their name. Another curveball, Eloy Casagrande on drums. He is in the current incarnation of Sepultura.
Oh, okay.
A band that I love, but I've never listened to them after Roots. Once
I stopped
Max
at Chaos
Calavera.
AD. Yeah.
Roots the follow-up to
yeah.
Chaos is so good, dude.
I'm an old school Sepultura head.
Oh, man, I love everything. I love everything they did. I even love Roots, but right when Max left is when I lost interest. Kirk Hammett on guitar, Dave Mustaine on guitar. So that's a pretty fucking deadly twin guitar attack. Tom Araya on bass and vocals.
And that Sepultura guy on drums. Interesting. I'm sure that would make some solid thrash.
Yeah, I might have
torn apart.
I might have gone Igor Calavera on
torn apart.
Torn apart. All right. Should we just jump right into it? I was having trouble
with the band names, man. It was like I was trying to think of the right words that fit the genre to make something that sounded somewhat legit, but also a little bit funny, maybe.
It took me less time to come up with band names than it took me to build the bands. We just sat here one night goofing off, and I was like, "What about this? What about this? What about this?" And my girlfriend's like, "Yeah, I don't care, bro. Like, I don't understand any of this shit. I don't give a fuck." So we will start with our traditional band first.
Yeah.
And traditional, but you got to have some flair. So I went Scott Travis, from Judas Priest on drums.
So you're bringing a visual concept to this.
I mean, I was in my house.
I got my point. Yeah, I didn't try to bring any records.
That's all right. You're all good. You'd have brought like 30. And
so Scott Travis is interesting to me. I thought of him. He kind of rides the line between a traditional metal drummer and a thrashy speed metal kind of drummer. So
we are 12 minutes into this video that probably will go 2 hours, and this will be the first time you hear me say it, and I guarantee it will not be the last. There has to be a certain level of versatility in your playing for you to make it into these bands that I'm putting together.
Indeed.
Because I'm going to ask you to do a lot of shit.
All right. So for my traditional metal drummer, I went with kind of an old schooler, and I picked Vinny Appice.
Okay.
Thinking along that same line of versatility, but having the kind of earlier roots to be able to keep it really traditional. He and his brother are both, high-level drummers. But I was just kind of thinking of that, playing with Dio, having that kind of roots of metal quality to his drums.
He's done a lot of
heck yeah,
a lot of stuff in his career.
But somebody that could play more than just kind of a minimal hard rock drumming, like that guy, can color it in and do different.
That's why I went with everything that Priest does in their live show. He has to play their older stuff, and then of course has to play Painkiller level. So he can do.
And as we talked about before when we were discussing the Priest, even though they were already a super great band, that guy elevated them in terms of
made them better.
Their extreme
rock
metal
solid
chops.
Foundation.
Yeah.
Another rock solid foundation. Now this one I might get a little back here. But he's been in so many bands, just pick one. On bass, Glenn Hughes, Black Country Communion. Although he was, he's been in 75 million bands.
Yeah.
But can play bass.
He could probably play bass in any kind of band.
Can sing.
Yeah.
So he's going to give you depth in harmonies and vocals and let you do whatever you want. He can trade off and do crazy things.
He's one of those guys.
Solid.
Glenn Hughes is like, he could be in a solid band. It's like his band or a band that formed together, but really he's been a hired gun for a long time.
I know, right? So It's so weird, all the stuff he's done, but they could reform that lineup of Purple and kill it.
Hell yeah. I feel like I might get a whole bunch of pushback tonight, knowing you. So, this guy had to be in the mix. I just went straight up with Steve Harris on bass.
Yeah, I mean, how do you can't argue with that.
Classic metal, traditional metal, dude helped write the book on that.
He can write. Again, versatility. What can you do? Is the only thing you can do play? Because he can play, he can add background vocals, he can write songs.
Oh yeah,
versatility.
And I think style-wise, the style of Maiden. When I was thinking of traditional metal, that kind of galloping groove,
like a thundering herd coming down a mountain.
Just didn't really have to think twice about Steve Harris.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. So here's why I said you might get a little pushback on my bass player, because my first guitar player, the legend from Deep Purple, Ritchie Blackmore.
Damn. So before metal was even metal.
Yeah. We're going traditional, right?
Can you metal. I guess traditional, I was in the mindset of kind of the new wave of British heavy metal era, kind of post Judas Priest.
But because he can play licks, he's bluesy, he fits with. We already know he fits with Hughes.
Yeah.
Travis can do anything on the drums. Now you've got this rhythm section that can just hammer it.
Indeed, man. I kind of like what I did with the guitar players here. I felt like just kind of going a little crazy. So my first pick, Uli Jon Roth.
Oh, that's a good pick.
I thought, he's going to bring a different element to it, can certainly play traditional metal, but has that kind of psychedelic Hendrix edge.
Yes, he's he's got that flair. That's
I thought he would be a formidable guy.
Neoclassical style.
Yeah, exactly. No doubt.
That's a good pick. So in a band of curveballs, I will throw you another one. Some of you may not know who this man is. Scott LaRock, or Andy LaRock from King Diamond.
Dude.
And when you think King Diamond, normally you think Merciful Fate, you think Sherman and Denner, but I couldn't split them. Like thinking of splitting those two, but LaRock is so solid and so unheralded that I was like, man, he might just fit.
And this would be the same guitar player that's on Abigail?
I believe he was on Abigail and Them.
Yeah, so like that's the album I know the most out of the King Diamond repertoire. And
you got to listen to Fatal Portrait, bro.
I do. A lot of times I don't listen until I really listen until I get it on record. But I dig that because like Merciful Fate was a great band, but the band he assembled to back him up as King Diamond, like you listen to those records and you're
Mickey D on drums. There's another guy thrown on the kit.
Even though that King Diamond is the driving force of the band, it wouldn't be as awesome without those players. That's dope. All right, I just said let's just go all full tilt boogie, Yngwie Malmsteen in there.
Two neoclassicals.
Yeah, that was just gonna be who's playing.
My God, that would be fun lead, to listen to though.
Trading crazy leads. And Malmsteen, he's kind of hard to categorize anyway.
Yeah, he is. It's funny that I'm just gonna, spoiler alert. He's been one of my favorite guitar players since '84. He's not on any of my lists because, I was like, fuck, he overshadows everybody. But can you imagine Sales of Sharon?
Yeah, right.
With Malmsteen playing licks over the top of Uli Jon Roth's fucking.
In a way, that's kind of where my mind went with it. I formed it that clearly, but that's a Scorp song that jumps to the forefront. Amazing. And I kind of, in an abstract way, that's kind of where my head went. I was like, well, just throw Yngwie into this mix.
So I decided to go traditional as our first salvo because this is probably the band that works the least. It fits the least. So, I mean, you got to have a powerhouse vocalist if you want to hold it down. So I went Sebastian Bach from Skid Row.
In your traditional metal band?
Yes.
Wow.
Because I feel like by the time they got to this album, which is Subhuman Race, which is my favorite of the three with him.
Yeah, I wish I had that.
They were hard rock. They were already out of that hair. And when they went into this record, his vocals on this record are spectacular. They're just next level. The things he can hit and do with his voice gives you the shivers. So I was like, if I'm throwing curves anyway, then those are the curves I'm throwing. The name of my band, Doom of Valeria.
Explain.
It's a band name that I thought if I was going to have a band, that would have been the name of my band.
Valeria.
It's like, I think I got it out of like a fucking Tolkien book or some shit. But I thought the Doom of Valeria, for a band that probably won't play doom metal, would just be funny.
Yeah, I mean, the word doom doesn't necessarily have to be attached to doom metal.
Doom of Valeria sounds like the next Sirathungal album. If you guys use that, you just kick me off like 5% on the back end.
Yeah, he doesn't want much.
Yeah, no, I'm not greedy.
Man, I went straight up just the obvious, really. I just fronted this band with Rob Halford. I mean, if I want to see a super group, I thought about some other people, but Rob's just the greatest.
I would love to see, man. Because Harris already plays in a band with another incredible vocalist. It would be interesting to see how he took that style and then wrapped it around what Rob can do on vocals.
Indeed, yeah.
And when you think about these bands, don't think about them now. Think about these players in their prime, these vocalists in their prime. Yeah. We're putting them together like we're back in the 80s, and we're like, so everyone's on all cylinders.
Yeah. I mean, that's a crazy thing to imagine. Just what if Halford was on all the classic Maiden records? Is there a way to do that on a computer now?
I'm sure somebody's figured it out.
So my traditional metal band is named Transylmania. And
man,
their debut album is called Taking Castles by Force.
Oh, see, that's dope. I like that.
I don't know how I got to Transylmania, man, but it just hit me.
Dude, that's fucking hilarious. All right, we'll move from tradition in the old school to the prog.
We're doing the prog.
Prog metal comes next.
This one's going to be my most fucked up band, dude.
If you're going to have prog metal, then you have arguably the three best drummers on the face of the planet today. I don't know. One has to be Stuart Copeland. I don't know who the other one would be. And then the other one would be Danny Carey from Tool on the kit.
You can't argue with Danny Carey being in a prog metal band.
I would love to see the person that did argue with me, but that person probably would say Mike Portnoy, and even Mike Portnoy would put Danny Carey in that band. So
yeah, I mean, prog metal as a genre or a style is really kind of a can't think of the word. It's it's kind of a fluid idea anyway.
Right.
Tool could possibly be the original progressive metal band.
Man, I know. It just seems like a lot of times they took like Fragile from Yes and then turned that into a metal record.
Yeah. And within the death metal and progressive death metal realm, that's progressive songwriting. But it doesn't really embody the term prog.
Have you listened to Obscura?
No.
You listen to some Obscura, bro. Tech death metal. Holy hell. Right. Germany. They'll melt your face. They're
doubt.
Amazing.
Man, so I threw this drummer in there because thinking of this concept of a band, I would want to hear what he would do and how he would be that rhythmatist within the band. So I just went up with Neil Peart, man.
Brought the professor out of the eternal slumber.
Yep.
I love it.
And this whole band is a
Dead
bizarre
people?
mix. No, no, but it's a bizarre mix. Prog metal's not my forte, and I was just kind of thinking, well, let's take people that probably could play some really progressive music and just
when I started really getting into pulling these things, I had all these ideas in my head, and I'm like, okay, now that doesn't work, that doesn't work, but this band is of this, but this band is of this, and I was like, we don't have any prog. That's when I was like, hey, I just built this prog band, and you were like, F it, let's do it.
Yeah.
On bass, from a longtime favorite band of mine who's kind of fallen on hard times as far as I'm concerned recently, John Myung on bass from Dream Theater. Incredible musician.
You're just plucking the major players here, dude.
I'm pulling dudes that are forces of nature that can do all things.
Now, you know Dream Theater way better than I do. I've definitely seen some footage of them and listened to some of their music. I was watching a Dream Theater concert it was broadcast on some cable channel a long time ago, and the bass player's like playing like this.
Yeah.
Like he's got like a 24-string bass guitar and
He'll do all kinds of crazy shit. The quiet assassin. I had to laugh,
even though I appreciated
the quiet assassin. You don't hear much out of him, but man, he's amazing. And I mean, he already played with Portnoy for years, so now he gets to play with a better drummer. Not that Portnoy's bad. I love him in that band. But
you calling Mangini a better drummer?
No.
Oh, in your band.
Danny Carey.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
He stepped up. That rhythm section now is, I
don't know what's coming
Danny
next.
Danny Carey's kit is huge, and he'd probably have to double it to just equal what Portnoy's got, like a 72-piece fucking drum kit.
Shit. This dude I picked for bass, man, I thought this would be interesting. Not necessarily known as a prog rock musician, but in a way this band does kind of at least dip a toe into a progginess. This is a band you love. I decided to throw in Doug Pinnick from King's X.
Oh, very nice.
I thought he could handle it.
And can sing.
He can sing. He's not going to be the lead singer, but
but now you've added dynamics to the mix.
Man. And I just kind of want to see what that dude would do in a more heavily progressive rock band. Because the players in King's X did have a bit of those chops.
No, yeah, all of them do.
They just
really good.
They just kind of honed it into something that wasn't as extruded in the progressive sense. But I
had Ty on and off these lists a few times, but he didn't quite make the cut. Because I just can't do anything typical. I gotta go outside the box of what the rules are. So prog metal, but it doesn't mean that it can't be prog death metal. So a technical prog death metal band is my first guitarist, Christian Munzer from Obscura.
Yeah, see,
fucking incredible, man. These guys are. If you're into death metal and you're into like technical death metal,
for sure,
these guys are amazing. They're about to put out a new.
I got to look into them. So
you cannot listen to that band passively. Like you can put on a lot of stuff. Cannibal Corpse comes to mind, and throw that on, and then do some dishes and do whatever. You have to actively listen to
it's
Obscura.
Pull your mind
they are
right
like, you're like, how the F are they doing all
I gotta
that
check
crazy
these guys
shit?
Out. So what's the quality in this guitarist that put him into your fantasy prog band?
He'll shred a 7-string guitar until your floats.
Okay, that's good enough.
I want to say that he might even play 1 or 2 with 8 strings, but don't quote me on that. I could be wrong.
My first guitar pick, man. There was again like kind of everybody I put in this band. I want to see what they would do in this setting. So I picked Dave Murray from Maiden.
Okay. All right.
Because I think he's a big part of the backbone of a lot of the long instrumental passages in Maiden.
Well, Seventh Son is pretty fucking proggy.
It is, and Dave Murray's he's got the ability to be very melodic, but I just thought put him into this setting where it's going to be a little bit more technical twists and turns. But I think the guy would be interesting in that mix.
I like that. I have 4 bands, 5 members in each band. Only one of those people are deceased that I know of. The only one is also on guitar on my prog metal band, and the reason why I came up with the prog metal category in the first place. The legend, Chuck Schuldiner from Death. Once again, can play, can write, can sing, can do everything. And he was already moving, not that Death would have fallen apart, but he was already moving towards a more progressive metal, moving away from the Death stuff with Control Denied right before his death. So,
with each Death album, he was advancing his
he was
perspective on extreme metal music.
Probably the most influential musician in prog metal. That form of extreme metal. I don't know anyone else that. Yeah.
Even though he's probably always going to be mostly associated with the death metal style. But if you watch the documentary on him, they definitely get into the technical advancements he was trying to put into his stuff.
You can't deny that the man was born to do what he did.
Oh man,
it's just
and some people look at a band leader like that who has gone through a lot of lineup changes in their band, and sometimes they see somebody that's maybe hard to work with or is kind of egocentric or something. He just seemed like a pretty level dude that just really was driven to make the music he was making. And
in his specific vision with his extreme level of I want it to be perfect. But I mean, to the dudes that he surrounded himself with were no slouches. Richard Christie,
for sure.
What's the dude that played with Cynic? That just Sean Reiner played drums on Human, I believe.
Yeah.
So,
man. All right. Well, this one I plucked from kind of the gods of this category. I put John Petrucci in there on guitar.
Oh, see, love that.
He's gonna hold it down. He's gonna help write the construction. And so Dave Murray will be kind of playing around and coloring in over what Petrucci lays down.
His ability to dance and tread lightly, right? Because sometimes he can be very ethereal, and then sometimes he'll,
Petrucci,
Murray.
Oh yeah.
So that would be an interesting. Well, I mean, who are you gonna have singing on this? Again, they got to be dynamic. They got to be versatile. They got to be able to write. They got to be able to do all things. One of my favorite vocalists from one of my favorite, very unheralded prog metal bands, Fate's Warning, Ray Alder.
Nice.
This amazing vocal. I love this band so much. Breaks my heart that they're not bigger than they are, because they are flat out amazing. And everything they're putting out, even recently, has been just as good as anything they put out. I mean, I remember when I heard that track from No Exit on Headbangers Ball, Anarchy Divine. I was like, holy hell, did that dude just hit that note?
Somehow those guys never got on my radar, and I just never tried to explore them.
Yeah.
So what's his vocal quality? What's he bringing?
He can do everything. He can sing mid range. He can hit high notes. He brings a lot of for prog and for metal and for hard rock and for what they play. He brings a lot of soul.
right.
and a lot of, like heart and feeling. You can feel his lyrics when he's
nice.
They're just an amazing band. You need, if you're not into the go, and I think there's 1 or 2 albums that they have that I haven't found in the wild yet. I think they're both John Arch records, but I even have the stuff. I've had Ray Alder's solo stuff. I've got the Arch Mathos stuff that they did later when with their original lead singer. And
I need more time in my life.
You do.
I need more time.
Well, I mean, you own a record store. You just
groups.
Order it and then just spin it at the store, and then take it as a tax write-off as you're doing research.
Man. Yeah, I got to work that angle more, man.
I guess I should say what the name of my band is. Desecration of Sanity.
I swear I was trying to come up with names like that are pretty similar to
that. Yeah. Someone out there, you motherfuckers I know, someone's going to watch this and be like, I'm starting a fucking band. I'm going to call it Desecration of Sanity. That's a good ass
I can't believe that hasn't even
You better pay me.
I can't believe there isn't already a band called Desecration.
If you need a name for your band, call me. Call me. I get a cut on the back end of all royalties for as long as you're a band. Nominal. I'm not a pig.
Yeah. No. He doesn't take more than he needs.
No. I'm a very reasonable dude, but
he'll even pay it forward.
I come up with gems. Bro.
That name could apply to our thrash death.
Right? Wait till you hear that one. Oh my God.
Is it going to be as good as Torn Apart?
It might be. Torn Apart might be the first album from my thrash death band once you hear their name.
Oh man. All right. So when I was thinking about the lead singer of my prog metal band, which is a little bit of a hot mess, I'd be kind of curious to hear what these guys would do together. But I really wanted somebody that I think of as really creative and kind of outside the box, just to add a whole other layer to this. So I went with Attila, current singer of Mayhem.
Oh.
Singer of Mayhem, actually, from the last, 15 years. That dude is more than just a singer. He's like he's like a vocal sound painter. He's like
a vocal stylist.
Yeah, he's like a beast. It's like all these different beastly and demonic voices come out of him.
I'd be interested to hear what that sounds.
I just thought, why not? Just
so would they be
motherfucker in
would
the
they be instrumental heavy and then with vocals here and there?
That's a good point, because that is kind of how he approaches Mayhem.
I mean, he's fucking work, bro.
In Mayhem, there is, verses and choruses.
Atmospheric and
he uses his voice much more as this just kind of unsettling element in the music. So I thought that would be interesting.
That could work.
And so I called my prog metal band Stoned Ape Theory. And their first album is called Dreaming of Android Children.
Dude, how do those things not already exist?
I don't know. Stoned Ape Theory just seemed like stupid and kind of thought-provoking.
Damn, that's fucking brilliant. All right, thrash / death. You got to build a thrash / death. I don't know where you categorize this band. They could be metalcore, maybe. I don't know how you. All I know is
metalcore.
They're more melodic. They're more melodic than your typical thrash band, but they still super heavy. They still play. They still have fucking great riffs. What I don't understand is how. And I like Lamb of God a lot. Lamb of God just seemingly shot into the stratosphere, and these guys I think are better and didn't get the same. And then they kind of fucking fell apart. And they just recently announced they're going to do a few reunion gigs. Hopefully it sparks them to want to record again. Jason Bittner from Shadows Fall.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Love this band. If you're not into this band, go grab these records and they're amazing. But
did that singer have long
dreads? Yeah. Brian Fair.
Yeah, okay.
But they mixed it, so he would sing like fucking growly super, and then they would clean it, and then him and the guitar player.
So you're picking the guitar player.
I'm picking the drummer.
Oh,
but
with the guitar
player,
I don't know why.
They switched.
Yeah, we're not on vocals yet. But, the drummer from Shadows Fall.
Yes, Jason Bittner, very, very highly regarded thrash drummer, and he can play a groove. He can play thrashy stuff. He can play more melodic stuff. He can do everything you need. A metal band to do.
Interesting. And a band like that being considered in the thrash category is interesting because they came after that style had been defined so much that they've absorbed.
And they broke, what was it, like that second wave of new American metal, they were calling it, or whatever.
Yeah. Not new metal.
Yeah, not new metal. Although we could build a new metal band.
Oh my God, the worst new metal band.
Deftones.
Let's put together the worst new metal band possible.
Okay, so it would be the drummer from Limp Bizkit.
We'll call it Korn Apart.
Peas is coming back. Did fucking Limp Bizkit even have a drummer?
Did they even?
And fucking, I'm not even gonna put Fieldy from Korn on there because Fieldy can actually fucking play the shit out of that bass.
Yeah, if you can hear that weird subsonic flappy
I fucking hate that
string tone.
I hate that fucking shit.
It's like he didn't tighten the strings.
But he's so good. I would just love him to get a real, just join a real fucking band.
Fieldy can suck an
ass. Bro, I've never seen you get so violent over something. I love it.
Those guys, I watch Korn videos
on purpose?
I'm watching car wrecks. I go down these rabbit holes where I watch Korn videos.
Look, I ain't gonna lie. When that first record hit, I liked it.
I know that one.
And then I was like, "What the fuck?"
That one I would set aside.
Are you getting fucked by your babysitter on this record? Why are you screaming and shit? And then I was like, "Yeah, I'm not into this anymore."
I would, even though I'm not a big fan.
Life is peachy if I don't have to listen to your fucking shitty band.
Life was peachy.
But I'll listen to Korn 7 to fucking times in a row, every single album before I'll listen to fucking Limp Peas.
Oh, yeah. I have a weird thing about Limp Bizkit, too. I watch their videos. I don't know.
Do you think that dude actually fucked Christina Aguilera? Chris, call me. Let's talk.
He might have tried.
Why wouldn't you? I'd try. Fucking like twice her age. She's a bad bitch.
Oh, man.
She's not as good as Rihanna, though. Speaking of Rihanna, if you want to get into one of these bands, you need to text me, girl.
She'd be hot in a metal band.
If she could sing.
Yeah. She has 2 songs. I really don't care about Rihanna's music, except 2 of her songs I think are some of the best modern pop songs ever.
Bitch Better Have My Money?
No.
I love that song.
Rude Boys? Rude Boy?
Don't know what that. Oh, no, I don't like that one.
And We Found Love in a...
No. No, dude. Oh, I hate that song so much. No, Bitch Better Have My Money.
Nah.
Pay me. What you owe me?
No. That's not my style, bro. We Found Love in a Hopeless Place. That's a meaningful tune right there.
Man, her whole career is a hopeless place until she takes her top off on Instagram.
God, what was that weird performance with Paul McCartney and shit?
No, watch really that weird. Shit.
Kanye.
I ain't got time for it. Kanye, what? Talk about someone that could suck a fuck.
Oh man, my drummer for my ultimate / death metal band, the greatest band that never existed.
Ooh, I like.
I just went straight for the just straight up. One of the greatest thrash records ever. Gar Samuelson off of Peace Sells.
Ooh, I almost thought for a second you were gonna go Ulrich from Ride the Lightning era.
He just doesn't fit into my super group.
Fucking jazz trained drummer.
I have a heart for Lars Ulrich for what he did in those early Metallica records, but he's not getting into my super group. He was
awesome on those first 4 records.
He's not good enough to hold down my super group, man.
Gar Samuelson, a great pick.
Yeah, I mean, when I think of Peace Sells But Who's Buying, I think just a classic thrash record. But his drumming is so damn good on that record. Just drives it. His fills are interesting. Like you said, he was a trained jazz drummer.
Whatever you want to say about Dave Mustaine, say it. I don't care. Doesn't hurt my feelings. You can't his importance to thrash.
Oh man.
And I don't know if it was by luck, by chance. He farted in a coffee shop and someone punched him in the face and it just happened to be Chris Poland, or how he got Poland and Samuelson in those first couple records, built that band. Without those two guys, it wouldn't have had the same impact because they were coming from such a different place that they allowed him to do. Peace Sells is one of the greatest thrash metal albums ever recorded.
Indeed. Hell yeah,
brilliant record. I love that pick.
Who you got on the bass, my man?
Well, this one was kind of difficult, but I just really enjoy him. I went back to his first band before he got mega popular.
All right.
From Flotsam and Jetsam, Jason Newsted.
For real, dude.
For real. Jason Newsted.
Wow.
Of course, went on to Metallica, then to Newsted. But dynamic on the bass, can hold it down, can play crazy, can play regular metal, can play proggy metal, can play anything you need him to play, he can play. He can play a normal bass style. He can play a bass more like a guitar, which is what he did in Flotsam. He can hold down backing vocals.
Indeed.
And he just seems to be a cool fucking dude.
I feel like in his Metallica years, and especially if we're talking And Justice and then the Black Album, I kind of feel like, I don't know if it was constraints from the rest of the band, but in that stuff he didn't really seem to step out much. It seemed to really just follow the root chord progressions of the guitar riffs. But no doubt the dude can play, because when Garage Days came out,
he was fucking great.
They let him step out front,
and then he sang "Search and Destroy," "Seek and Destroy" when they would play live.
Yeah,
but from his point of view, from some of the early interviews I saw, is that his reasoning behind them turning his bass down is because he didn't feel like he was accomplished enough on the instrument yet. So what he was doing was playing his bass like a guitar. So instead of setting up with the drums and then setting your solid rhythm section, he was playing the same chords and notes as the guitar, as the rhythm guitar. So he was getting lost in that mix anyway.
Well, and that's something that,
I don't know if it's true or not.
That's something that's just part of Metallica too. Two guitars, when they're both playing the rhythm riffs, they're both in such a low register and low end sonic part of the spectrum there, that it's really hard for the bass to compete with that, unless you went more for that kind of trebly slapping against the fret, or
hard
slapping against the pickups kind of bass sound that you hear in some metal records.
Cliff was so prominent and unique. Having to follow him must have been very difficult.
Yeah, I would almost think trying to step into that role at that point in time, you would almost feel like guilty. Like,
but during here, he's the only interesting thing about the Black Album.
Perhaps still struggle to embrace that album.
Yeah, no, but if I have to listen to it, the thing that stands out the most is some of his bass lines.
Well, that's cool.
It's not anything that because the rest of that album's a fucking deep fried turd.
Dude, I feel guilty about bass pick. I don't know. I guess I just felt he deserved to be in there. I put Cliff Burton. I mean,
you can't argue that.
Resurrect Cliff, put him back in my super group. I don't need to explain that.
No, you really don't. I mean, if you don't,
so I guess I shouldn't feel guilty, but I just feel like I wasn't getting very creative.
There was no rules on living or dead. There was nothing stated, so you're well within your.
Yeah, but it's just so obvious. I guess is why I feel guilty. But Cliff was just amazing, unique bass player, and he was in the band that basically created thrash metal. So
Well, if that's obvious, then my first guitar player is going to be ultra obvious. The most metal human being on the face of the planet, Gary Holt.
Damn.
Exodus, Slayer, take your pick. He's just flat out amazing. Just holding it down for the Bay.
Oh my God.
Gary Holt. What can't that man do?
You've watched that documentary, Murder in the Front Row.
I have the book too.
Oh, nice.
It's amazing.
And so I would really credit Metallica on Kill 'Em All with creating this style that became known as thrash metal, even though that San Francisco scene was already happening and everything. But there is no comparison in terms of the brutal assault of Gary Holt's style to even what Metallica or even Slayer was doing early on. The first Exodus record, Bonded by Blood, is just ridiculously raw, brutal thrash metal. And we did an episode a long time ago where we talked about that shit.
The funny thing about that book, because I have a few books from that publishing company, Bazillion Points, but that book, and if you don't have Murder in the Front Row, the book, it is, it's easily one of the best books ever compiled on metal. The pictures in that book are that people were thinking about taking pictures of things.
Yeah,
you never thought about that as a kid, but they were all the same damn age practically. But Harold Oinian or whatever, that dude played with DRI for a while.
Wow.
So I mean, he's got chops too.
But he was documenting.
He was documenting all that. I think he was a roadie for a while.
That's kind of like how Eerie Von started out, photographing all the Misfits stuff, and then ended up in San and Danzig.
Bon Scott was a fucking chauffeur for bands, taking them from the hotel to the gig, dude. And then all of a sudden, there he is.
Bon he wasn't Scott. Even a roadie; he was a chauffeur.
Because his mom worked for some.
That's rad.
Police or something, was a manager or something.
I felt like I kind of just went buck wild with my two guitarists in the thrash metal category. I wish I could say them together, but anyway, we'll just say right off, I just threw Chuck Schuldiner in there.
Okay.
I mean,
I'm not gonna argue with that, obviously.
The dude was just a riff-tastic beast, and even though he progressed well beyond the sort of raw style of thrash metal, that's where I love him so much because he's seemingly close to what we are, or he's like, this is what I love, but don't put me in that box. Yeah,
because I'm gonna do everything. You can't.
I love that dude, man.
People's entire fucking careers, they could put out 40 records and not put out 7 records that are as good as what he put out with Death.
Damn.
One of my favorite guitar players from the entire Bay Area thrash metal scene, from a very unheralded band, writes incredible licks, writes lyrics, can sing, can do it all. Rob Cavastani from Death Angel.
One of the most important thrash bands, really.
These guys were like fucking 5 when they played their first gig. That's not even being that facetious. They were
young
15.
They were
like our age.
Teenagers, man.
And they had an accident that derailed their career for a while. They tried to bring back the same lineup. It lasted for an album or two, and then the drummer and the bass player left. The guitar player left. So Rob and I believe it's his cousin whose name escapes me now, on vocals, got Ted Aguiar on rhythm guitar, got a monster bass player, got a drummer. And the lineup right now is more solid than it's ever been. They're putting out incredible records right now.
Yeah.
So give them a listen. Rob Cavastani, Death Angel.
God, so they started so young that they're not even like old yet. So they're like still in the prime of their life.
They're like,
but they've had 30 years to mature as musicians and shit.
No, dude.
That's amazing.
What have I done with my life? Jesus. I'm playing gigs at 14.
Man. I thought this was really fun to throw this guy in there. This guy stands alone as an amazing thrash guitar player. He's had a long career, still respected. A channel that we both like, Banger TV. This guy appears on there sometimes as a kind of an elder statesman of guitar. I threw Alex Skolnick in there from Testament.
Very nice.
And I just thought Chuck Schuldiner and Alex Skolnick together would just be madness, dude.
So does your name of, don't tell me yet, but does the name of your band, your thrash band, play off of their two last names? Like Skulls of Fury or dual Skulls of Doom?
I wish it did. I didn't. I wish I could have played off of that, but I am quite proud of my band name and the album title.
Don't tell me yet. Don't tell me yet. I love this band that I've constructed. It shouldn't work, but it will work. But I didn't want to go your typical. There's so many amazing thrash bands, but I already took Death Angel out of the mix, so I couldn't put that dude on vocals. Exodus is out of the works, so they're 14 singers.
That was one of the challenges of this. We could screw ourselves by picking somebody from a band that we had to have, but then you couldn't choose.
So I went a band that already straddles the line of thrash and death. And they're new. This band is brand new. She came out of a band that had 3 records with her, 1 record now without her. One of my favorite new bands, Fernanda Lira from Crypta.
Holy cow.
Female-fronted thrash masters. She's got this crazy, like, shrilly scream that you'll just love it. And the name of my band, Hordes of Torment.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah. You see, I got band name skills, bro.
Yeah, that is a good one.
Hordes of Torment. Stop it. That was going to be the next death record.
I was trying to get my brain to come up with a name like that, not necessarily similar to yours, but just in that realm. And so I was trying to think of all the names of all my favorite thrash bands and shit. I did notice that a lot of thrash bands that I love of that early era were single word names a lot of times, but every time I would think of something, I was like, well, that's either sounds dumb or that's basically already taken, you know. It's like,
this one kind of was inspired by another thrash legend creator, because they have like Hordes of Chaos was one of their albums or something like that. So I was like, Hordes of Torment.
The torment is coming in hordes.
It's coming in hordes. I probably could have put Mustaine, and then I would have had 3 guitars and a vocalist.
Oh man,
yeah, you can't get along with nobody. So
Dave Mustaine, though, I feel like his voice,
Lira,
is perfect for what he.
Yeah, Lira is going to be way more interesting in that band.
That's a cool choice, phenomenal. And maybe this is the time finally when we get more women in metal.
It's happening, man. Nervosa, Crypta. They're killing it. Their albums are amazing.
That's awesome, man. I'm pretty proud of who I picked for lead singer. I don't know how this guy would register on your radar, but the first 2 albums by this band, I can't say the band name yet, but they had 2 initial albums with their first lead singer, and then he left. And I don't know if he's ever sung on anything again, but he's one of my favorite lead singers in this realm of metal, David Wayne from the first 2.
Oh my God. Yes.
Love that dude's voice. I feel like he's versatile, and he can really sing, but he can get growly. And
remember when we do stuff and we're like, holy fuck, you did stuff? Wait till we get to 5 things.
Yeah. It's a little foreshadowing there.
Little preview, kids. Fucking love Metal Church.
I love them, dude. They continued to be a good band, and God, I hate saying this because I've actually spoken with their longtime lead singer. He lives in Eureka.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, he moved here like 5 or 6 years ago. He raises a kid here.
Wow. The dude that's on
he's
Blessing in Disguise or whatever.
Yeah, and he continued to sing with them.
Wolf Hoffman, that's their guitar player's name, right? He's on Sea of Tranquility all the time.
Oh, okay. No shit. Well, this singer, he's a great dude, and he is a good singer, but I just felt like Metal Church wasn't the same band for me once they got him in the band. Those first two, I love them so hard, man. So I named my thrash band Blood Fear. And the first album is called Spill It All.
Oh, man, I love it.
Blood Fear is stupid, but I was having trouble thinking of a good thrash.
We saved glammy, hairy shit for last because we thought it'd be the most fun. I have an album name and a band name for my hair. I think I cheated a little bit because I don't consider this band a glam or hair band, but I've heard other people call them that, of which usually I'll get in an argument and say they're not. You're like, wait, just because you had big hair don't make you a hair band. Like, Y&T is not a hair band. Stop.
Yeah.
On drums, Scott Rockenfield.
Oh, shit.
Scott Rock. God damn it. Scott Rockenfield.
Oh, man.
From Queensryche.
Damn, dude.
Reich.
That is, I actually thought of his drumming in this
Tell
context.
me that motherfucker can't hold it down.
But that dude could have even been in
any of these bands.
Be in a prog metal band.
Any of these bands. That's how good he is. Any of these bands he would have fit. Dude.
Actually, Queensryche, the whole band really.
I was going to put him in prog, but I had to put Danny Carey there.
That's kind of
why I was like, oh, yeah. Put him in hair.
That's kind of what's cool about Queensryche is they were not in a box, man.
No, you can't.
That's a nice pick. They're guitar players as well, man.
Yeah, that's the suckiest thing about having to only have. Yeah, I had to leave.
Yeah,
DeGarmo.
We had to do it somewhere. That way. The thing about this too is like you could play this game forever. There's no right way or wrong way to do this, really. So, God, these first two, first three in my hair metal band all are just pretty straight up obvious.
Hair was the hardest one to do because there are so many moving pieces, so many great musicians that people don't, because they all play bands at least once.
Yeah.
Everyone from LA was in London. It's like, give me a fucking break.
So people that know me know one of my favorite bands of all time, which fits into this category, is Motley Crue. And I did not put anybody from Motley Crue in any of these bands.
That's surprising.
They could have maybe. Tommy Lee's
he's probably the best musician out of that entire group.
Yeah, for sure. But I think the superior hair metal drummer is Bobby Blotzer from Rat.
I'm not going to argue that.
That dude, he drives those tunes, he rips, and so that was like kind of one of the first ones thinking about these lists. Bobby Blotzer's going to my hair metal band. No question.
Well, obviously, you know that I have someone from Rat in there since I fucked that up. That was the hardest decision. Was it going to be Warren or was it going to be Juan? I went Juan because not only can he play bass amazingly, he writes killer songs. He was in Dokken. He was in Rat. There's videos of him in Dokken before Dokken got big.
Oh, okay.
Playing songs off like first record before they put their first record out, before Pilsen was in the band.
Wow.
So, a lot of these LA bands played with a lot of each other's other stuff. And I absolutely love this band. It's probably my favorite Sunset Strip band. Them and Hanoi Rocks. And he's awesome in it. And, again, versatility. What do you bring to the table? What can you do?
Yeah. That's a good pick, man. I went with kind of a similar kind of a stalwart of the scene, Rudy Sarzo.
Yeah, solid. I read his book. He's amazing.
Yeah, can't go wrong with Rudy Sarzo.
Great player. Ozzy.
Played with Ozzy. Played with
Quiet Riot.
Quiet Riot and Whitesnake.
Yeah, great player.
And he probably played on everybody's record.
Great sense of groove and timing. And
probably all of those bands just had him record in the studio.
Probably.
Just didn't say anything.
He was just fucking that good. He was that good. A lot of these hair bands, they don't get enough credit for being as amazing as they were. They were great musicians. They made great music that's still fun to listen to today.
This is something that we've known since we were kids. We never gave up on this stuff. I mean, there was a time maybe I phased into other stuff and didn't, sort of wear that on my sleeve much, but I never stopped enjoying those records. And nowadays, I don't even really like to use the term hair metal.
Yeah.
I say it because it's easy and everybody kind of knows what you're talking about. But I've gotten more into regarding these groups as
the
light
bands,
metal or pop metal.
I just call them hard rock bands.
Yeah,
because the bands that I
really
love,
hard rock.
Rat, Dokken, Queensryche, bands like that, Y&T, those bands, those were hard rock bands, and that's what I called them. Yeah. I considered hair metal like Winger and Warrant, and I wasn't super into that stuff until later on. I went back and I was like, this is a lot of fun. Like, just have fun and listen to stuff that's still great today.
Well,
I considered Motley a hard rock band until Theater of Pain when they changed their look, but still great music.
Something I found myself talking about more recently is really when you think of the history of metal, there was a period of time before Metallica and Slayer and Megadeth had really blown up that when people talked about heavy metal, they were talking about those bands. Rat, Dokken.
Yeah, but that first Motley album came out in, 81?
They were, in retrospect, we realized they were just kick-ass hard rock bands.
Yeah.
Maybe with a metal-y edge to it. But really, people thought of those bands as heavy metal bands. The style of that guitar playing, the type of distortion tone that they had, and the kinds of
faster tempos,
ramped up bluesy hard rock riffs. So, the hair metal thing really kind of was a pejorative to an extent when people started throwing it around. It was also what I really never liked. I actually took a lot of offense to early on was when people called it butt rock.
Yeah,
that I was not.
The thing about is I don't think that people really grasp that. They're like, well, rock and roll is dead. No, none of that stuff ever dies. But what you do have is localized scenes generally aren't going to last more than a decade. The Seattle thing only lasted about a decade because you exhaust those bands don't want to be stuck in this defining genre. They want to do other things and they want to grow, and they kind of leave that behind. That the Sunset thing wasn't going to last regardless of if grunge came along or not. It wasn't going to last much past a decade because once you got into the late 80s, you had your 5, 6, 10 hardcore really great bands, but then you had D-list bands getting signed to ride the wave, and nobody wants to listen to Tough.
Yeah,
like nobody was rolling Tough and being like, "Fuck, Tough's the next." Come on, bro. You should have called me for a band name. Is what you should have done. What the fuck calls their band Tough? with 2 F's.
TUFF. Yeah. Oh man.
Probably got a tough job washing dishes now because
there was a few of those bands. I have a friend. I haven't seen him in a while, but everybody called him Heavy Metal Pat, but he was just a hardcore, just holdout on that kind of metal, hair metal, light metal, sleaze metal, and he could sing like that. And he loved all the bands, and he was turning me on to some that were actually pretty damn good. Like maybe even I think he liked Tough. Turned me on to Cats and Boots, shit like that. It was like late, almost almost a revival of the Sunset Strip thing. Not so much after the grunge thing, but like that had already been waning a bit.
Yeah.
In LA, and so there was a host of newer bands that were trying to keep that stuff going. Some of them were a little punkier, some were a little glammier. Anyway,
they couldn't really catch on. So speaking of, like, if we want to go deep into the hair, my next 3 are gonna probably be like, you're like, oh, I didn't see any of that coming. My 2 guitar players might not be the first 2 you think of from that era, but they shred. First, from White Lion, Vito Bratta.
Wow.
If you don't know when this video's done, look up Little Fighter by White Lion and listen to that dude's solo and tell me he can't play a fucking guitar.
Indeed. Those guys were talented. But in that era, that they wanted to blend some ripping hard rock with, I guess, stuff that was commercially
sure popular. Because as much as you want to do this thing, you also have to remember it's a business. And now you could probably drive your own train, get your own music, make your own stuff, put it all on the internet and still make a living. Back then, without a record deal, you weren't doing shit.
Yeah.
So they controlled how you were going to sound, what singles you were going to put out, if they liked the record, if they didn't, so
yeah,
probably some of that was,
God, when I was like 13, I think the only White Lion I ever listened to was like that ballad song.
Yeah, and if that's all you know of them, like get out of that and then listen to theirs. He's an amazing guitar player. So
I believe it, dude. So just another straight up, but I really do love this guy's guitar playing. And you mentioned, listen to that guy's solo. This guitarist plays one of my all-time favorite solos in a song ever. And this is a band that I don't think gets enough respect, the band that he came from. George Lynch.
I knew that's who you were going to say. I love Dokken. I love Dokken. My favorite, that breakdown in My Dreams where the band stops playing and he just plays that riff.
Exactly what I'm talking about, dude.
Tingles every time.
Same here.
Every
dude.
time.
Same here.
And I know it's coming and I can't wait for it. And then, and if someone's talking, I'll be like, shut the fuck up. And then he plays it and I'm like, continue.
And
amazing.
The guitar.
Love that guy.
I know what part you're talking about. That's after the solo.
Yeah. It's like
coming back into the song.
Love it. He plays he's amazing.
But also when you listen to that solo while watching the video and they have that mirrored effect of him stepping into that solo, that shit rips, man.
And when we just finished the point about how the labels were pushing certain directions, and that was one of his problems. He did not want to be pushed in the hair.
Yeah.
He didn't want to dress like that. He didn't want to look like that. He just wanted to play.
Yeah.
He's fucking amazing. And it was hard to not put him in my band.
And,
but I just didn't know who I would team him with. So I can't wait to hear
all with who I teamed him up with. Before we move on, just not everyone's going to hear us talking about this and go, "Oh, I'm going to go check out Dokken." But
check out
Dokken was awesome, man. I put on Dokken records and I'll listen to the record like 5 times in a row. They go by fast. The songs are just they're catchy. They're full of emotion. Just well written rock music, and for a band that you might think is kind of goofy if you don't like Dokken, those guys had some drama in that band. They went through some messed up shit. So light metal bands can get pretty hardcore too sometimes.
Man. So how do you team up a shredder? You add another not very respected shredder. Red Beach.
Man, that's cool, dude.
I went there. I went Winger,
White Lion, and
Winger, White Lion.
That might be
shredders that are going to play together that you would be like, man, I did not see that coming.
That might be the kind of outside the box thinking that's just going to make your super group just
Scott Rockenfield, Juan Crucier holding down the rhythm section, 2 shredders on guitar that can play lead and rhythm, that can melt your face, that can play in the pocket. Who's he going to put on vocals? Oh, man. Who's playing with George Lynch? Hold on a second here, because nope, you already have Blotzer. I was going to be like, Warren DeMartini might fit perfectly with his bluesy style, but you already have...
Dude, that's the thing. Lynch and DeMartini are both kind of on the same level of axe slingers.
DeMartini's a little bit bluesier, though.
Yeah. That's a good point.
It broke my heart leaving that dude off the list.
But I knew right off picking Bobby Blotzer, I couldn't have the axe honestly, power from Rat.
I'm stalling because I'm trying to guess, but I can't. I don't have a clue of where you're going.
Yeah, man.
Did you go Akira from Loudness?
No, but I considered Loudness.
I love that band. I love that band,
dude. They were out of this world, dude.
So good.
Oh my gosh. We need to just be hanging out listening to these records.
I know, right?
So I don't even know what to say about this pick. I was thinking about different people, and I just ended up going, this guy could just play anything and bring this kind of other dimensional element to it. So I went with Steve Vai.
Wow.
I mean,
it fits.
It might be a weird match, and maybe this band will just end up, kind of falling apart. I don't know how Lynch and Vai would go together.
It fits, though.
I mean, if they really cared about this band that they're putting together, I'd like to think they'd work it out. They'd figure out who needs to be doing what, and
especially if you put it together now, because 100% they play each other's back catalogs. That would be fun.
Yeah.
That would be fun.
I mean, hair metal, this kind. I mean, Steve Vai, he played with Zappa. He's a progressive musician.
I mean, his chops speak for themselves. He was all over the map musically.
I was thinking more in terms of him backing up David Lee Roth.
Yeah, but even his solo stuff is even Vai's solo stuff is pretty. He had a little glammy flair to him.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and all these guys, or a lot of them come out of the Guitar Institute of Technology, so they've got those chops. These are people that make playing a guitar neck look like it's butter.
Yeah. Interesting. So there's a wide open field of vocalists to pick from. But you want to feel like if you've got such a strong rhythm section and you've got such shredding guitars, you want somebody who can match them vocally, who can sing, who can soar, who can do so many things.
Obviously, that's Vince Neil.
Yeah, it is. How did you know?
He's He's like the one guy that absolutely would not get picked for any band, even though I think he did great work on the Studio Crew records. But
I think he might have been the guy that inspired more people to want to do that. Because when you heard him, you'd be like, I can do that.
Yeah, and
like you sing in the shower is probably no worse than.
And I think Vince Neil actually really did in the studio put the work in to deliver the best he could.
I mean, at least those first 3 records.
Yeah, I go beyond that, but no one's gonna pick him. I said that because of.
I went out into left field, way deep into your esoteric nature to pull from a band that I fell in love with early in the 80s. Who seemingly, even with all of my metal friends, nobody even knew who the hell this band was. Still to this day can sing, and sing very, very well.
Ooh.
Very, 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 very. See how small that is? Very short stint in Skid Row, but we're going before that.
What?
Tony Harnell from TNT.
Man. Yeah, I hate when you pull stuff out that I'm just not even familiar with.
Man. Oh my God. If you don't know this record, you have to go and listen to this record right now.
Man.
Amazing vocalist. Great 80s glam metal band, TNT.
He appeared in Skid Row after Sebastian?
No, it was way after that. It was like, so I don't know who or if they're even doing anything now, but just a couple years ago, he hooked up with them for a small bit, and you thought they were going to do something. And then he was like, yeah, it didn't work out, and I'm off doing my own. He tried to reunite with TNT for a while, but him and Latico or whatever, they feud about as much as George Lynch and Don Dawkins do.
Wow.
They just can't be in a
TNT has just never been on my radar, man.
Yeah, man, you gotta.
When's that TNT album from?
I think this one was 86.
Wow, okay.
I remember.
So does this guy have some raspiness, some grit? Is he
this
sleazy?
Is from 87. He's clean. He can soar. It's pure. It's crystallized. Like it's the best parts of that era.
Yeah.
When you think of that, like soaring vocal ability, like he can hit notes that you think he can hit notes that Bruce Dickinson can't hit.
Yeah.
Cleaner than that. But those guys that can sing in that upper register, but not as like shrilly as like a King Diamond falsetto, but can still hit notes. So with that crystallized vocal on my 2 shredding guitar players with a killer back end that can write music and play anything.
You really came up with your fantasy band.
My fantasy band. Their first album is going to be called Devil's Doorbell. And if you know what that alludes to, it's a certain part of the female anatomy. If you play with it too much, you're ringing Devil's Doorbell.
Wow.
Their name, you ready?
Yeah.
Skin Patrol.
That's good, dude. Skin Patrol is good.
Tell me that's not 80s LA.
That's really
Skin Patrol.
And it's not too crass. I like that. You get the point across, but it's not totally crass.
You got to read between the lines.
Skin Patrol. That's perfect, dude.
Skin Patrol. Today at the Palladium, Skin Patrol playing their debut record, Devil's Doorbell, on Elektra Records.
Some bands back then really missed the boat.
They did.
Their fucking band, dude.
Dude, my band names are better than my bands.
Oh, man.
Gonna be spinning Skin Patrol all night for you on KLOS. Midnight to 3 a.m. LA's finest metal.
Nothing but Skin Patrol all night long.
Skin Patrol. Skin Patrol coming to the LA Coliseum this weekend. playing Devil's Doorbell in its entirety. Oh, it's good to see those guys back together.
Yeah, we got the reunion.
The reunion of Skid Patrol. Come to LA.
Man, it like the qualities you're describing for your vocalist, I get it. But my mind kind of goes more towards the Stephen Pearcy,
the sleazier, but I couldn't pick him because I already threw in.
I definitely couldn't pick him, and he would have been
Stephen Pearcy,
one of my first.
Yeah, because I love the sleazy element of the LA stuff too. You had everything in that era.
And then I was trying to think of somebody like, say, Tom Kiefer from Cinderella.
Night Songs is a great record.
Yeah, people with that quality, like we've already gotten out of the way. I was not going to pick Vince Neil.
Yeah. It just like I know we're shitting on Vince, but it's only because we loved those first Motley records so much, and I'm honestly sad of what it. I don't get any enjoyment or joy out of him shitting the bed and being fat and can't hold a tune anymore. That doesn't make me happy. I would love to see them come back and dominate, be awesome, and write new music.
And I actually don't even
make new records.
I don't even, like you're saying, I don't get joy out of ridiculing him, really. I saw Motley Crue 3 times after I was a full-grown adult in the late period of their existence. Like from 1999 to 2010, I saw them 3 times because I love all their old stuff, and I always wanted to see them. And then after I saw them the first time, I was like, they put on a killer show, man. But anyway, so I was thinking of all different, frontline singers that are fairly obvious and stuff, but I think you would agree this guy, because of his chops, could really be the ultimate frontman of my ultimate hair metal band, and that's Sebastian Bach.
Yeah, I can't argue with that.
And he's still got a voice.
Yeah, he can still sing. I mean, but I wouldn't argue with John Bon Jovi. I would have been like, man, motherfucker can write a song.
Yeah. Indeed. So Sebastian Bach, he can get a little sleazy. He can sing a power ballad. He can get.
Telling you, man, Subhuman Race will change the way you think about that band.
He
that
can get heavy.
Amazing.
So, man, we didn't make it 2 hours, hour and a half. But so the name of my all-star heavy metal band is Sleaze Stack.
Okay, like that.
And
you might get sued by Sleaze Bees, though.
I thought about Sleaze Bees. It's kind of more of a play on Land of the Lost.
Yeah,
Sleaze Stack.
And the stacks could be stacks of Marshall amps.
Yeah, totally.
Like sleazy stacks of amps,
or just stacking your sleazy junk on
stripper
all
poles.
The chicks
stripper poles and glory holes is their first album.
Man, if only I'd had you with me,
dude. It just comes natural.
I just didn't even
stripper poles and glory holes.
I just went like really lowbrow for their title. I just went for Sleaze Attack.
Yeah.
These guys weren't getting that creative with it. They're just like, we just want to attack you with our sleeves. So pretty.
I like it. Enjoy it.
So in doing this and actually talking about it, not even so much the process of coming up with these, it makes me really want to hear these bands.
You do, right? Because didn't you ever think about like building, like I always played with when you started learning that lineups weren't always that on every single record, like as you were coming to age and you were like, hey, I bought this Iron Maiden record and it doesn't have fucking Bruce Dickinson on it. What the fuck? Like, you start doing research and you're growing up and you're like, what would Iron Maiden sound like if Bruce and Rob switched places?
Yeah.
What would have, we got to see what Motley Crue would have sounded like with a better vocalist and a rhythm guitar player.
Yeah. for sure.
So, you're like, you change one little dynamic in some things.
No offense to Bruce Dickinson whatsoever.
No, I love Bruce.
But Rob Halford could sing for Maiden. I don't know if Bruce Dickinson could sing for Judas Priest.
Look at it the other way around. Because could Rob sing that style? Like, it's just such they're the same. They're a similar band, but the style is so uniquely different.
Maybe not if he was singing what was already written and sung by Bruce. If he was in there and just creating songs,
because like them. We talked about this before. Priest sometimes is like this bluesy, metallic angel soaring above the heavens, and Maiden is a thundering herd of galloping horses coming down a mountain.
Yeah, that's true.
Two entirely different.
That is very true.
It would be interesting.
Yeah. And like I said before, we could play this game for eternity and keep shuffling people around into these different categories of bands. But
because you said, what would have Dawkins sounded like with two guitar players?
Yeah.
What would, if Yngwie Malmsteen could get along with another human being, what would he have been like if he played in Rat?
Yeah.
Or,
the only evidence of that is he was in that band Steeler with Ron Keel.
Yeah, and then he did that one Alcatraz album.
Oh, that's right.
Before Graham Bonnet booted his ass and replaced him with Steve Vai.
No doubt. Yngwie is a weirdo, dude. But,
one of my faves.
But there's something about those
I think the reason why I love Yngwie so much is because the earliest music I really, really got into was classical music. So when I started listening to when you hear Kiss, at 6 years old, 5 years old, and you're like, oh, what's this? And it opens these doors for you. And then you get into more heavier stuff, and then the Sabbath and the Deep Purple and all this stuff. And nothing really legitimizes it. And then here comes Malmsteen in 82, 83, 84-ish. And you're like, this guy's playing classical music. He likes all the same stuff that I liked, Paganini and Wagner and Tchaikovsky and all this stuff. And he does that on a guitar, and it makes it like you have to respect it now. Yeah. Look what he's doing. So that whole neoclassical thing he was doing, I was all in.
Oh man.
And then you put the three dragons on the cover and him fighting it with his guitar, and I'm like, yep.
I liked his choices of singers too. I always forget one of them. There's Jeff Scott Soto, and then
Goran Edman was not Trilogy, but the couple that came after that,
like
Eclipse,
Force,
the ones that were later in the 80s, Eclipse, and if he could have kept that dude, if those two could have made that work long haul, I think he would have had a better. I mean, not that.
Tapping into that whole Dungeons and Dragons thing.
It works, man. It works.
A friend that I'm just not friends with anymore, but a really great friend from when I was a freshman. We met as freshmen. And as he was introducing me to another couple friends of his, he and I had hit it off talking about music. And he goes, So I'm having this argument with my friend here. How do you say Malmsteen's first name? And I just went, Yngwie. And he grabbed his friend by the shirt and went, see, I told you. He was a high-strung character. He was very frustrated that somebody was arguing with him over how to pronounce it.
I feel the same way when I used to get into these threads and people would say Queensryche is a hair metal band. I'm like, based on what?
Yeah.
Based on whose criteria?
I agree with you, although the way I have my records categorized, I do put them in with, I have a separate section for hair metal type.
I do too, but I put them with my prog. I put them with
Yeah.
Dream Theater and King's X.
I think that's
and
totally fair.
Fate's Warning and
they probably fit more closely.
Time for 5 things, not one thing, 5 things.
Yeah.
If I was gonna have an all-female band, it might be fronted by Doro Pesch and the wonderful Warlock.
Yeah, Warlock, that record
Love
rules,
this
dude.
record so much, and its follow-up was also amazing. Pick that up.
Man.
I don't even know what this is. I'm looking at it. I'm like, what is this? Should we? I'm looking at it. It's an all black. Should we just find out together? Lita.
That's a good record, man. That's the one with "Kiss Me Deadly" on it.
I believe it is.
That's good.
I'm trying to get her older stuff. It's hard to get. Yep, "Kiss Me Deadly." Falling in and Out of Love, wrote with Nikki Sixx.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Close My Eyes Forever.
I hate that song, but this is a great record.
Oh, I see what you got coming up next.
Right?
Yeah. Dude.
If you haven't heard the first 2 Metal Church records, do yourself a favor. Pick up the first one, which was self-titled.
I just want to say, because this band, particularly those first 2 records, have meant something to me since I got this on cassette tape from the Columbia House.
I know. I can't even remember when it came out. I remember getting it the same way.
It was after that one that I discovered its predecessor, which is just self-titled, and this one's
86.
The Dark. They're hard to categorize. It's thrashy,
Yes.
it's speed metal-y, but they're kind of in their own sphere. And what I find interesting is they originated in San Francisco, but moved to Seattle, Washington. And even though they don't sound like bands like Soundgarden and Alice in Chains, there is an undercurrent that is very Seattle in their style. And I don't know how they kind of adopted that into their sound. They've remained a Seattle band ever since.
I don't remember how I tripped into them, but you got to pick up this record. I did the same way. I discovered this one first and then went back and got the other one.
And I can't decide which one I like better. I love them both. I wanted this on vinyl for so long, but even in the age of buying online, I really wanted to find it in the wild.
It's expensive.
I waited and waited to get it in the wild, and I finally found a nice copy for like $25, and I said, okay, I've denied myself this record for so long.
I think I found this one in Rasputin's in the Bay.
Nice.
Ton of Bricks, Start the Fire, Method to Your Madness, Watch the Children Play, The Dark.
Yeah. Watch the Children Play might even be the first exposure I had to them. Via video on MTV.
This is a great record. Pick up the third one's great too. I think it's Blessing in Disguise.
Blessing in Disguise.
But it's not as good as the first 2. First 2 are great. If you're into doom metal, you probably have heard of Church of Misery. They come from Japan. I consider them having like this brother band, even though they're not. Black Medicine, a doom band out of Korea that is
using
fucking
Black Sabbath's
phenomenal.
Original font.
They are amazing.
There. Huh.
4 Korean dudes laying it down.
Wow.
It is awesome.
That sounds
Find
cool.
their stuff. Don't try to find it on YouTube because you won't find much. But go grab their records.
There's not even much on YouTube, huh?
No, it's super hard to find.
I recognize that.
One of my favorite logos from any band from the Strip era.
Yeah.
The first LA Guns record.
That's a good record, dude. We didn't pick anybody from
No.
it. Tracy Guns could have been a ripper.
Yeah, he could. Stephen Riley was in it, who was in Wasp. I didn't put anyone from Wasp in it either. But that dude right there. But look at these sleazy dudes.
Yeah.
Rival.
I always loved that song, Bitch Is Back on there.
Yeah. And thankfully, because I guess, Axl Rose is just hard to get along with.
Yeah.
If they don't split, if Guns doesn't leave Guns N' Roses, we never get LA Guns. So
yeah,
go listen to the first 3 LA Guns records.
That's
They're awesome.
how they got their name. Guns
N' Roses. Tracy Guns and Axl Rose, Guns N' Roses.
Nice, man. You always got some.
I always got some nuggets,
some interesting elements to add to the conversation.
Yeah, eventually, like I said, I'll sell most of my Blu-ray and DVD collection and just keep filling it with 80s and 90s metal.
Yeah, man. Well, he's got a formidable collection already.
Yeah,
that was fun, dude. That was a fun. What do you want to call it? Exercise.
Build a band. Build your
exercise.
Build your band to go on tour with Skin Patrol. Coming to a town near you next week. Hordes of Torment will be in town, followed by Desecration of Sanity.
Man, yours were good. What was my best one? Transylvania.
I'm pretty proud hilarious. Oh my god. They could play a cover of Godzilla, and then Transylvania by a fucking Maiden.
Yeah, they could do the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
A metal version of that. Time Warp or some shit.
Well, I hope that was fun for people. Yeah. I hope that was thought-provoking.
And if you had fun, tell 10,000 friends and get in the comment section and tell us what your band would be.
There's this thing here that says say something.
Say something, anything. Let us know you're here.
Pick one of those or pick another style of metal.
We went from 180 views an episode to 5. We appreciate the 5, but we'd love to have 180,000, and maybe we could get a camera that wasn't so digied.
Yeah. So if you come across our videos or you're a friend of ours and you watch them, please share.
When we get to 10,000 subscribers, I'll let somebody shave my beard.
All right.
I had to do 10,000.
But not me.
I had to do 10,000 because I know it'll never happen. I don't want to shave yet. I got to go at least a year. Smash the like button. Hit subscribe. Do all the stuff. Come and have fun with us because that's all we're doing is having some fun.
Like put us on in your car where you're driving and just listen to us talk or whatever.
Not to put you on the spot. Favorite bands A through Z?
Oh, for next time?
One band each letter.
Oh, hell yeah.
26 fucking bands. You gotta have one for no genres.
Oh, I don't have a pick. I got it.
No genres.
Yeah, just
favorite artist starts with that letter.
I love it.
A through Z. That's next week's episode. Until then, we love you. Fuck Amazon. Long live independent music stores. Long live physical media. Up the Skin Patrol.
We love you.